At 4 a.m., October 2, 2025, a swarm of over 20 Iranian-made Shahed drones and Iskander missiles are tearing through the misty night sky just 50 miles from Ukraine's nuclear reactors. This is Putin's savage payback for Ukraine daring to publicly defy him. But in moments, Russia is about to receive a lesson in pain, and there will be absolutely no room for regret. Miles away, inside a hardened bunker, a Ukrainian operator is watching the attack unfold. First, the Shaheds. Cheap, slow, but numerous, a flying wall of explosives. Then the real killers, the Iskander ballistic missiles. $3 million monsters flying at Mach 7. And this target wasn't chosen by accident. This nuclear power plant is the beating heart of Ukraine's energy grid, a key cog in the system powering 50% of the country's electricity. Taking it offline is paralyzing the nation. Putin's strategy is simple brute force aimed at the nation's heart. Ukraine's strategy, its art. This is a US-supplied Patriot PAC-3 system. The hardware is only half the story. The real hero tonight is the Ukrainian software and a homegrown electronic warfare system called Pokrova integrated with NATO intelligence. They've turned a state-of-the-art American missile shield into a digital sniper rifle. At 4:02 a.m. local time, the Shahed swarm makes its move. More than 20 of them come in low and slow, a conga line of cheap Iranian-made lawnmowers with wings skimming just a few feet above the Dnipro River to hide in the radar's shadow. At the same time, the Russians make their first predictable move. Their Krasuka 4 begins vomiting raw static into the air, trying to blind everything. But the Krasuka is a clumsy giant with a 1 to 2 second delay in its programming, and in electronic warfare 2 seconds is an eternity. The operator counters with a flick of a switch. The Ukrainian-made Pokrova system powered by Allied code doesn't try to block the signal. It hijacks it. Pokrova starts creating ghost targets, painting a fake reality where the other drones are the most immediate threat. It's whispering digital lies into the swarm's hive mind. The cheap Iranian guidance systems begin to panic. 3 of the Shaheds, convinced they're evading a Phantom missile, smash their wings together and tumble into the river like drunken fireworks. The operator doesn't stop there. He improvises, adding Decoy IR flares to the mix, luring the rest of the confused swarm away from the real target. It's a huge win. In under a minute, 60% of the drone wave has been neutralized. But it was a loud win. That electronic noise and the string of explosions just served as a dinner bell for Russia's big guns. The Iskanders have been alerted and their decoys are now screaming in. At 4:03 a.m. local time, the headliners take the stage. On the operator's screen, 8 new contacts appear screaming out of the upper atmosphere. Iskanders, Mach 7, $3 million apiece. But they didn't come alone. In a desperate new tactic, they begin launching decoys mid-flight and the operator's HUD explodes with over 20 ghost targets. It's Putin's multi-million-dollar shell game designed to saturate and confuse any defense.
This new tactic will ensure a decisive
Guess wrong ways to $4 million interceptor on a worthless fake, and the prize for failure is a nuclear meltdown. But Ukraine isn't guessing. This is where the layered Allied defense becomes a work of art. First, the cheaper tools for the cheaper jobs. A nearby Norwegian NASAMS battery fully integrated into the network fires a volley of its less expensive AMRAAM missiles. Their job is to kill the fakes. They act as a high-speed sieve, shredding the decoys and clearing the sky so the real protector can see its targets clearly. Now the Patriot's American-made AI goes to work. It's using a Kalman filtering algorithm, a beautiful piece of predictive math. It doesn't just see where a missile is, it calculates where it will be. In less than half a second, it analyzes the subtle signatures of atmospheric drag.
The ground is rising to meet them.
The real missiles fly with purpose. The decoys are just tumbling lifeless metal. The AI can tell the difference. The target's validated. The system reports. The operator gives the command. The PAK-3s launch in a kinetic dance. They hit the launchers in the Zaporizhzhia hills, creating a perfect ambush angle the Russians never saw coming. These interceptors don't carry explosive warheads. They are 1,000-pound projectiles that kill with pure unadulterated kinetic energy. The first interceptor slams into an Iskander at a combined speed of over 5,000 miles per hour, vaporizing the $3 million missile into a harmless cloud of supersonic confetti. 5 of the 8 Iskanders are down, turned into expensive broken fireworks. It's a stunning success.
How do you shoot a target that's actively
But the ghost of the Krasuka's jamming is still hanging in the air, messing with communications and forcing the plant's emergency generators to life.
mode authorized.
And the Russians, seeing their brute force attack failing, are now getting creative. The electronic chess match is about to begin. At 4:04 a.m. local time, the Krasuka evolves. It stops its broad, noisy screaming and starts hunting. It begins sweeping the entire spectrum with a digital dragnet, trying to find and crush Pokrova's hopping frequency. The operator's screen flickers violently as a digital fog rolls in. A lone Shahed slipping through the chaos gets dangerously close just 10 miles out, its warhead glinting in the moonlight. In the Russian command bunker they're celebrating, they think this is the move that finally blinds the Patriot. But here's the physics of it. The Krasuka's wide sweep is like using a fire hose to find a single glowing ember in a dark forest. It wastes a ton of energy and dilutes its own power. Pokrova, on the other hand, isn't sweeping. It's predicting. Using allied AI, its narrow, targeted pulses anticipate the Russian sweep and counterjam it just milliseconds before it arrives. The operator has had enough. He activates mirror mode. Pokrova doesn't just block the Russian signal anymore. It catches it, amplifies it, and reflects it right back, turning the Krasuka's own power against itself. The remaining Shaheds, suddenly bathed in their own side supercharged jamming signal, go completely haywire. Their navigation fries. 3 of them, convinced they're in a death spiral, simply slam themselves into the hills. Putin's own jammer just swatted his own drones out of the sky. The digital fog is lifted, but the Russians are now out of electronic tricks. They're done with finesse, and what comes next is a desperate low-altitude attack from the shadows at 4:05 a.m. local time. 6-caliber cruise missiles, the pride of their naval fleet, come screaming in from a completely different axis. These are Putin's river rats, terrain-hugging predators, flying just 50 feet off the water, using the Dnipro's misty river valley as a perfect cloak. It's a classic multi-axis nightmare designed to split the Patriot's attention and sneak a killer through the chaos. And here's the problem. The caliber's own terrain-following radar is good, but it has a fatal weakness. The jagged hills of Zaporizhzhia create so much ground clutter that its Doppler system gets clogged with errors. The Russians think this is acceptable risk. The Ukrainians know it's a trapdoor. This is where the American-made LTAMDS radar upgrade shows its worth. It's not just watching the sky. It's mapping the battlefield's radar shadows in real time. As the calibers enter the river valley, the Pokrova EW system began whispering a new lie into their guidance systems. It started telling the missiles that the ground was rising up to meet them. The trap was sprung. A volley of cheaper AMRAAMs launched in a high arc, positioning themselves for pop-up attacks on anything that broke cover. 4 of the calibers, obediently climbing to avoid the phantom hills that Pokrova had painted onto their radar, flew right out of the river's protective shadow and into the waiting jaws of the AMRAAMs. The other 2, trying to outmaneuver the threat, were instantly met by 2 waiting PAC-3s. Putin's snakes in the grass were just exterminated. With the sheer violence of the low-altitude barrage, the explosions echoing off the hills does something else. It triggers the nuclear plant's proximity alarm, sending the facility into high alert. And it paves the way for Russia's final desperate human-led charge at 4:06 a.m. local time. With all their advanced tech hacked, jammed, and blown out of the sky, the crews of the last 2 Iskanders take manual control. No more code. No more algorithms. Just 2 Russian pilots flying by the seat of their pants, making erratic, unpredictable course corrections. They are 5 miles out. Time to impact is under 30 seconds. In the Russian command bunker, they are cheering. This is the human spirit triumphing over the machine. For the Ukrainian operator, his gut twists. How do you shoot a target that's actively trying to dodge? It's like trying to hit a fly that's having a seizure. But the system has one final cold logical answer. The operator doesn't try to outfly the humans. He takes his own human element out of the equation. He authorizes full autonomous mode. There is no hesitation. The final two PAC-3s launch their onboard AI, completely ignoring the operator's link. They aren't tracking the missiles anymore. They are tracking the pilots. The Kalman filter isn't just predicting a flight path. It's predicting human panic, calculating the overcorrections and desperate jerks of the controls. Putin's manual miracle met machine inevitability. Final Iskanders are vaporized in a blaze of kinetic fury. The attack is over. The sky is clear. But Ukraine isn't done. The electronic warfare battle didn't just defend. It gathered intelligence. When the Russian jammer screamed and the Iskander launcher fired, they both broadcast their exact positions to the entire world. A fatal mistake. From the shadows of the Zaporizhzhia hills, a $500 FPV drone loaded with a shaped charge buzzes to life. It rockets low across the terrain, using the same river valley the Russians tried to use flying straight for the now exposed multi-million-dollar Iskander launcher vehicle. Putin wanted a mirror. Ukraine just sent back a postcard from hell. Stamped with an explosive seal, the pride of Russia's missile forces erupts in a secondary fireball, its crew vaporized. The hunted has just become the hunted. And the board hasn't just been flipped. It's been set on fire. On the Patriot's HUD, the screen zooms in on the last Iskander, its desperate drunken weaving a testament to the panicked human at the controls. In the Russian command bunker, the commander is frantically trying to override his own system, screaming for manual updates that will never come. And this is where the entire battle is distilled into a single brutal equation of time. The Russian war machine, a lumbering beast of hardware and doctrine, needs a full 15 seconds to process a threat and turn its defenses. The Ukrainian AI running on allied processors makes the same decision in 50 milliseconds. Putin's nuclear threat.
The precision of the AMRAAMs.
It was a child holding a multi-billion-dollar toy threatening to break it. And Ukraine, the exasperated older sibling, just took the toy away. The impact is silent and absolute. The PAC-3 connects. A kinetic energy transfer so violent it shreds the Mach 7 Iskander mid-flight. There are no Hollywood fireballs, no satisfying booms. There is only pure, unadulterated physics turning a $3 million nuclear-capable monster into a harmless rain of superheated rivets and metal dust. Think of it like the Monroe effect, but on steroids. Instead of a focused chemical explosion, this is a focused application of motion itself. The PAC-3, a dense projectile of modern engineering, simply transfers its immense energy into the Iskander, and the Russian missile disintegrates from the sheer overwhelming force. Physics just delivered the punchline. As the last metallic fragments burn out in the atmosphere, a profound quiet falls over the battlefield. The jamming fields collapse. The sky is clear. And the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant, the heart of a nation, continues its steady, quiet hum, completely untouched. So let's tally the final score on Putin's billion-dollar disaster. His swarm of over 20 Shaheds annihilated, with most of them taking themselves out of the sky. His 8 vaunted Iskander missiles, 6 were shredded by Patriots. The last 2 were outsmarted by their own panicked pilots. The nuclear power plant hums along completely untouched, but the real insult came at the end. Ukraine didn't just survive the punch, they broke the guy's hand on the follow-through, turning a defensive victory into an offensive kill with that last-minute FPV strike. And that single act of battlefield dominance creates a strategic nightmare for Moscow. They now have a brutal dilemma. Do they keep their precious air defenses on the front lines to support a failing offense? Or do they pull them back to protect their own high-value targets from more of these humiliating counterpunches? Either way, they lose. They are now forced to defend instead of attack. But the deepest cut isn't on a map. It's inside the Kremlin. The myth of Russia's unstoppable arsenal, the boogeyman Putin has been selling for a decade, died tonight in a Ukrainian sky. The Russian Ministry of Defense will call it a malfunction. But the world saw the truth, an emperor with no clothes holding a very expensive, very broken toy. That is a humiliation no amount of propaganda can erase. And that brings us to the final brutal lesson. In modern warfare, It's not the price tag of your weapon that matters.
Understanding the implications of this new era
It's
of
the
warfare.
intelligence of the system wielding
The
it.
lessons learned from this battle.
Russia
Immediately
brought $1
integrated
billion
into defense
of inflexible brute force hardware. Ukraine brought a layered adaptive defense powered by allied tech and their own brilliant ingenuity. They just taught the world a masterclass, in this new age of warbrains backed by allies will always beat a bully with a big budget. If you were the operator,
confirmed.
what would
Execute
be your
strategic
next
counterpunch.
crazy EW hack using allied tech? Drop your ideas in the comments below, smash the like button, and subscribe for more breakdowns of when expensive toys meet smart tactics.